This is a new state, I try to get right. This is a new day to get on track. Yeah, that's life in football. This is a new day to live your life. This is a new state, I try to get right. This is a new day to get on track. Yeah, that's life in football. It's life in football. We are life in football.
You are now listening to the Life in Football podcast. Check out the new website, lifeinfootball.com.
Welcome to the Life in Football podcast, baby. I'm your host, Mike V.
And this your co-host, Colin Moore. You know we loving life and enjoying football.
Today we got a very special guest by the name of Jake. He has a company which is no off season, and they do things for us NIL, and that's a major thing right now that they are involved in across college football, any college sports, and it's something everybody need to kind of know about because a lot of people confused by it, and you get different athletes out here for us branding and marketing, and a lot of people not for as sure what's okay. So what's basically going on? Like, is the school paying them? Is this going on? How can we get a deal? This and that. But guess what? We got a man right here who got all the knowledge about it. And cause it's still fresh and new, and it really came into act I think last year. But we're gonna go ahead and get into this. But without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and let C-Mo bring him on.
How you doing, Jake?
Good, man. Thank you for having us.
Same here,
Thank you for having me.
Listen, I love the fact that you started your own. I tell all ball players, start figuring out what you love doing. So eventually, whatever you love doing outside of football or within football, you can build that instead of work for somebody else. Now, you might have to work for somebody else, but at the end of the day, why not work for yourself? You can make unlimited of cash versus having a cap on what you can get and how far you can go. So my thing to you is, what made you want to start your own?
Man, what a good question. So to your point, NIL started July 1st of 2021. You know, a couple months before, I knew about NIL. I knew what was coming down the pike just from some friends who, you know, are into politics and kind of were talking about the bill, thinking it was going to get pushed back till July 1st of 2022. And then it ended up not. A lot of backlash in the state of Florida. So August 5th, you know, to your point on your passion, I had just gotten to a point in my career where I just said, what do I want to do every single day?
Is that, you
know, and how can I take all of the business knowledge that I've gained over the last 8 years since I left Florida State University and bestow it upon these athletes? Because these kids are 18, 19 years old. Some of these guys that, one of the kids that we signed to our roster that was a, you know, incoming freshman, early enrollee, he went to prom when I signed him.
Yeah.
So he has no idea about how to strike a deal, what a contract looks like, what he should be looking at in a contract, what he should be doing. So it's been a really, really great opportunity for me to take all the business knowledge that I've had. Work with athletes was really the thing that I thought was what I wanted to do every single day. You know, you guys talk football all the time. I know you guys love that. You guys have the podcast and whatnot, but talking with athletes about business is really exciting to me. And it's growing, and it's going to continue to grow over the next 5 to 10 years, not only in NIL, but in the pro ranks as well, both from business and marketing. So it's a really exciting time to do this.
Now, when you got your first player from Florida State, being that you went to Florida State and graduated from there, how did that feel to you?
Oh, man, that was such a blessing. The player you're referencing is Trayshawn Ward out of Plain City, Florida. So I live in St. Petersburg now. His family's from Plain City, and so we just kind of struck a chord over Christmas break and talking to him about my vision for no offseason and for him as a player. And that's the biggest thing that I think differentiates me from other people in this space and what they're doing is, you know, for him, you know, he was looked down on. A lot of people didn't think that he was a walk-on, you know, and I just said that the success that he's had this year too, you know, we talked a lot about that in January, long before that he even really saw that success. So it's a lot of fun. Working with Florida State athletes is near and dear to my heart for sure. I have a lot of relationships, and that's why I tell these guys all the time, and girls, is that it's not about who you, or what you know, it's about who you know. And so being able to use those relationships, introduce these players and have them delve into those relationships as well has been really rewarding.
Now, I want you to speak on a little bit about yourself, you know, where you went to high school, what you got your degree in college, and talk a little bit about your family dynamic, like growing up.
Oh man, yeah, this is a good one. So I'm originally from Fort Pierce, Florida, which is on the east coast of Florida. You know, talking about football, my high school didn't even have a football team. I went to Lincoln Park High School in Fort Pierce, Florida. It's an academic school. It's an international baccalaureate school. So that's where I got my high school degree, was an IB diploma.
You was in IB? Mm-hmm. Oh, you big time.
Yeah, no. So, but I come from a really, really humble background. You know, my mother was a nurse. My father was a firefighter. So nothing really in the business world at all. But the one thing that they taught me was hustle. And relationships. Relationships are everything. The whole, you know, it's not what you know, it's who you know. I absolutely learned that from them. And going back to the passion thing, you know, I spent 8 years after college, you know, in the finance world. And, you know, my mom always told me, she's like, you got to do something with sports. You have to. And so when this opportunity came, I just kind of smiled when it all happened. And I knew she was just going to say, I told you, I've been telling you, I've been telling you. So, but yeah, growing up, you know, I had a lot of friends that played college sports, a lot of baseball, a couple football. Giorgio Newberry, who went to Central High School in Fort Pierce, was at Florida State at the same time, national championship team. So got to interact with a lot of guys that were NFL caliber or MLB caliber type of players. And, you know, a lot of them always told me, like, hey, you'd be a great agent. Just because, like, you just have so many good relationships. You're so good with people. You understand the business side of it. So when this opportunity came, and going back to my background, it just felt like such a natural fit. But I think the one thing that we're missing out on, too, is our team. And our team is really focused on marketing. My wife is the head of marketing at No Off Season. She is really handles the bread and butter of what we do from a marketing perspective. And so although I have a lot of good things that I bring to the table, our team is really what makes this thing tick.
Well, give a shout out to your team now.
Yeah.
Say who all on there.
Well, hold on. This is what I want you to do. Talk about the company and know exactly what y'all do. And then, you know, tell the people about the different parts we got Miss such who do this, my wife.
Sure.
So, go ahead.
Yeah, so, you know, my part really is truly acting as an agent on behalf of the players. So interacting with all the businesses, all the contracts, making sure that we hit our deliverables, so on and so forth. My wife runs all the marketing, so player marketing in specific. Her time outside of school has really been focused on digital and social media marketing. When I think about NIL, that's the most important part, is how do we help these guys grow on social media and digital platforms? Right. If we can help them grow, these brands are going to come to us, and they're going to want to do deals. Yeah. We're very proactive, but ideally we want to help these guys grow to a point where people are knocking down our door for deals. Right. And so she helps us put out a lot of really good content, helps us with content creation and just strategy, overall strategy. That's one thing that, you know, social media has evolved and the internet has evolved so much in the last 10 years that we're still trying to figure out what's next. Right. So she really helps us do that. My best friend from college, his name's Christian Karras. He started a business with his dad down in the Tampa Bay area. And so when I thought about who could really help me build a business and understand what building a small business looks like, he was really helpful in that. So he helps me run all the finance and operations. You know, a big part of this is how do we get these players paid? Right. He's a big part of helping us do that. And then my wife's best friend from college, all of us went to Florida State. So her name is Jess Botterbush. She helps really in a multitude of ways. Our biggest thing right now is athlete marketing campaigns. Right. How do we get our athletes in front of the top campaigns? We've got, you know, deals with Dunkin' Donuts right now. We just had one of our players with Easton Rawlings get a deal. So she helps us get in front of these campaigns and get our players exposure. Right, I like that. So, but to talk a little bit about no off season, to your point, I think we differentiate. There's a lot of agencies that are doing what we do that kind of look like traditional sports agents and then marketing companies. And we kind of want to be a mix of both. Our thesis on NIL really is if we can help our players build on social, build their following, gain exposure, those deals are going to come to us. right? So I would say probably half of the money that the players are getting through NIL really comes from these brand deals. The other half really comes from boosters, alumni, so on and so forth. And that's why we have a really good partnership with the Florida State Collective Rising Spear. Couple really good relationships there with the CEO, Matt Quigley, and COO, Will Cowan, who's here in Tallahassee. Really helps us with getting opportunities for our players as well. So our biggest focus is how do we help these guys from a marketing perspective? And my pitch to these players when I go and talk to them and I go talk to their families is it's not about today.
Right.
It's about the next step. And a lot of people come out and say, well, NIL gives them an opportunity to earn after their playing days. And that's very true. But as you guys know, being former players, players think about getting to the next level.
Right. All day, every day.
My focus is how do I align with those players' goals to help them get to that? Because when they get into the NFL, when they get to the draft, those marketing dollars are huge.
Right.
We're talking about millions of dollars, not thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars for one opportunity. And that's what we're trying to get them to. So we're trying to use NIL not so much to make them a millionaire today, but how do I set them up for success even beyond them working with me so that they can make money in the future, whether that be still playing or at the next level or not.
So they win no matter what.
Right. So, Jake, lastly, before we let you go, let them know where you can be reached, your website, social media, and different other things for us. What families might want to know that you think you can pass on right now.
Yeah, so on the point of our socials and all that, we're No Offseason FL on all socials, nooffseasonfl.com if you guys want to check us out. Our focus really is on Florida athletes. We were just talking a little bit about Polk County, and we're working with a lot of Florida State athletes at the moment. It doesn't mean that that's the only school that we're ever going to work with. It's just It's about relationships. Going back to the main thing, that's where we've had these relationships. But we definitely want to branch out and work with people who are in the state of Florida who might go elsewhere. There's a ton of talent in the state of Florida, and we want to help families and players be able to get to that next level, wherever that might be, and that might be in a different state. But we want to use our expertise to help that. So if there are any parents out there or families who have players who are going to potentially get to the next level and want to talk a little bit about NIL, that's one thing that we want to show is that we are the subject matter expert in NIL, and we can help guide them on that path.
All right, man. Y'all heard it right here, man. That's Jake with No Off Season, and he's going to put you on the right track. And I loved everything he was just talking about, that it's not just about the person or the sport. It's about the future and that they are people as well. And I love what he's talking about, and I love what he's doing. And then he got his wife on the team with him. You can't lose, man, going with a guy like this, man. So I just want to thank him again for coming on. And I'm going to leave y'all how I always leave y'all. Keep your head up and not down, or else you'll fall to the ground. This is a Life in Football podcast. Catch you next time.